What's up? It is the Go Home Show, episode 5. I'm Jeremy, one of the creators of the Top Rope Facebook group. You're probably watching this because you're a member of the group, but if not, look us up. I'm going to try to get a link posted soon. It's called the Go Home Show because I record it when I'm going home from work. Even though we're just coming out of the TLC pay-per-view, I'm really not going to talk about that much, other than to say I got to give credit to WWE. They didn't really have a lot to work with. I wonder, because a lot of us talked about, and it was weird that it's the TLC pay-per-view, and there was only one TLC match. And I know that historically they've done that with other gimmicky pay-per-views, but even last year, I went back and looked, and you had the TLC pay-per-view was a one-brand pay-per-view. It was SmackDown last year. And it was a tables match, a ladder match, a chairs match, and a TLC match. I know the table match was Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss. The ladder match was The Miz and Dolph Ziggler, I think, for the Intercontinental Championship. And the other match was for the Women's Championship. Baron Corbin and Kalisto had a chairs match that was actually really good. Like, none of us were looking forward to it, and it was actually a really good match, considering. And then the TLC match, I guess, was the WWE Championship match. I think that was Ambrose and Styles in that match. But anyway, and this year, there was just one match that was that way. It was the big 8-man tag team match that ended up being Kurt Angle and Ambrose and Rollins against Miz, The Bar, Braun Strowman, and Kane. And just the way they pulled that thing out, I wonder if the reason that they didn't go as hard with any chairs match, ladder match, or table match was because obviously they knew that at least Bray Wyatt was dealing with this crud, and they didn't want to pigeonhole themselves anywhere, knowing that they could have any number of superstars sick on Sunday. I still think it was weird to book, because Braun Strowman's the last guy that had a match with Roman Reigns, and to keep him in a match with literally the rest of your roster at that point, knowing he could be at least carrying some sort of infectious disease, that was weird, but they did it, and well done. Kudos to them. Was it a great pay-per-view? Not really, but it was a hell of a lot better than it could have been. Imagine a WWE pay-per-view, let's say in late 2015, early 2016, where it's a B show. You don't have you don't have the top champion already, and then two of your other main event type stars suddenly aren't available like 2 days before the event. Imagine how bad a pay-per-view in 2016 would have stunk. In early 2016, late 2015, in that neck of the woods. Imagine how bad that pay-per-view would have stunk. And they put on at least an entertaining pay-per-view. So that's really all I want to say about TLC. But really what I want to get into is all of the booking this week has had so many layers. And as somebody who probably asks too much of WWE writing a lot, I frequently ask too much of them. I know that. I've been really impressed with some of the layers you've got going on, because some of us got into a discussion when the SmackDown team invaded the Raw show on Monday. To me, the SmackDown's the heels in that. And I don't say that like, oh, they shouldn't have done that. I get it, and it makes sense with the brand versus brand. But all right, so it was brand versus brand. It was champions versus champions. Why? Because it started with Jinder Mahal challenging Brock Lesnar. Now, we know that they were planning this, outside of the curtain, so to speak. We know that they've been planning this for months probably, but on screen, Jinder started it. Jinder's the one who said, I want Brock Lesnar. Then they kind of filled out the other matches. Raw really hadn't done anything. Raw's coming off a pay-per-view. Raw is injured, beat up bad. They're coming out of a pay-per-view where a lot of their talent was in a really brutal match on top of the guys who were already out. And SmackDown just shows up unprovoked to beat the hell out of everybody. And it was a lot of faces getting beat up. Some of the guys leading the charge, New Day, Gable, Ty Dillinger was in there. AJ Styles were faces. AJ's the one who let him in the building, sort of, I guess is what they were alluding to. He's a face. AJ was a face for earlier in Raw when he helped out the Shield, and then he was leading the way to beat down the Shield. Like, that's a heel move, to just come in unprovoked and beat people up, all of whom have had matches already or at least aren't expecting to get a beating. It's a heel move. It's fine. It's a good move. It's great writing. SmackDown's the heels in this. And we know they're the heels because Daniel Bryan called Shane McMahon out for it on Tuesday. Like, hey, I don't know if I like this tactic. Now, he was looking at it more from you're provoking an attack that maybe we can't answer, but he was still kind of like, was that a good move? Like, why are you doing that? And that's a lot of the times the way that the faces and the heels interact. So it was a heel move, and that's great. Now, by the time Survivor Series rolls around, it will be pure brand versus brand. Raw will come in, and it's so much time. It's 3 weeks. There's a long time in WWE time right now. We'll have matches where it'll be guys that were a part of the. Well, we've already got it. Ziggler versus Rude. They were side by side during the brawl, during the beatdown on Raw, and they're already feuding again. They're already setting up a match for next week, a best 2 out of 3, that the winner is going to get on the Survivor Series team. So they'll have to do some of that, and it won't be, but that moment, it's a very much a heel move, because one of the things about Raw's roster at that point is they didn't have 4 guys that, if you were doing an actual street fight with the Raw roster, the 4 guys you want: Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, Samoa Joe. Those 4 weren't there. Now, you would also want guys like Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, but they were working off of an hour's worth of matches just in the last 2 nights, so they were whooped. They were already tired, and plus there were like 20 people beating them up. So those guys weren't there, and that's important, I think, to the story going forward. I'm fantasy booking that it's going to be those 4 and Kurt Angle as the Survivor Series team. The reason I'm fantasy booking it that way is because all 4 of them have kind of had these vague returns. Like, I was reading Samoa Joe could have come back for TLC, but they never really planned on him to come back, but they wanted people to think he was coming back, but he could come back at any time. Braun Strowman was supposedly hurt in the dumpster attack. He's not really hurt, from what I understand. It's just in the writing, he's going to be out a while. Goodness knows how long will he be out. They put him in a trash truck. Really dangerous spot, by the way. Excessively dangerous. That's a real garbage truck. It is not meant to have people back there. And Braun is a big dude. That's a really risky decision. And I hope, obviously we'd know by now if something really bad happened, but man, what a risky move. So he's not really hurt. Bray and Roman both, I think, are gonna be good to go by Survivor Series. So that's my dream book, is those 5. And if you've got those 5, it's set up perfectly that, and kudos to the announce team. Now, the Raw announce team, especially Michael Cole, will probably botch this next week. He'll probably go in there and say, Raw's missing some of its best talent. Here's the guys we don't have. And he'll tell you exactly who's going to be on the Raw, Team Raw, for the pay-per-view for Survivor Series. But for now, they didn't really mention that, so I think the idea is that we're supposed to not remember those guys. And what I'm hoping is that we're going to see those guys. Either there's going to be another SmackDown invasion. In fact, that's probably the way they need to go from here, is that SmackDown keeps in, if that's the force, if those are the guys that are going to turn the tide in the end. I think the way they need to go about it is SmackDown needs to keep invading every week. Like, next week they come in and they beat people down again. Or maybe they don't beat people down next time, they just make it hard. Like, they're the Lumberjacks for a match. that wasn't supposed to be a lumberjack match. They're just out around the ring, generally causing problems. I would do things like that to set up, and then so that way you don't have to sneak Roman, Braun, Bray, and Joe, or whoever your SmackDown team is. I assume someone in that group, at least a couple of them, are going to. Roman and Bray, for sure. Well, Roman and Braun, for sure, are going to be on the Survivor Series team. At the very least, at some point, those guys, we're going to be told that we don't know when they're going to come back. Braun, it could be months, blah, blah, blah. And at some point, they're gonna come back. So maybe the right idea would be to have it be on Raw, where it wouldn't be strange to see them there. Maybe you have them show up for next week's Raw, but you don't plan on them actually doing anything until the next week. And you say, look, they're just here. They're really not quite ready to go again. And then at some point, they come out and beat the tar out of SmackDown. That's what I would do. But there's layers to this, right? Because you've got that Raw didn't have its A-team. You got AJ, like, let the SmackDown team into the building. You've got something coming between Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon. I don't know. I mean, obviously the nerd in me kind of wants to see that they're going to let Daniel Bryan wrestle against Shane McMahon at some point. Just because that means we get to see Daniel Bryan again. I don't really care that much. I didn't really care that much about Daniel Bryan when he was wrestling, but now that he's not wrestling, I mean, as much as anybody, I'd like to see him get another crack at it. You've got that. You've got the stuff with Sammy and KO where Sammy lost this week, and so Randy Orton made the team instead of him, and next week Nakamura is facing Kevin Owens, so you assume Nakamura wins that to set up some kind of drama with KO and Sammy not getting on the team, and what do they do about that? So it's really interesting, and there's something there. I don't know how that plays in. There's just lots of layers to what they're doing right now that I think could really pay some dividends for Survivor Series. We also saw a setup for the women's match where Alicia Fox is the captain of the Raw team. I thought that was a perfect chance to have Alicia Fox steal a triple threat win in a match. It really doesn't matter who's the captain of the women's team. There's only like 5 of them that are active that aren't named Alexa Bliss. So it doesn't really matter who the captain is. I mean, what does the captain do? So it's the perfect time to give Alicia Fox a little push. She just got a t-shirt. Let her get out there. Start maybe some dissension between Sasha and Bayley, but they'll probably both get on the team. Start some dissension there, but just having Alicia just get that spot, I think is good. I think it's the right move to have Becky Lynch as the captain of the SmackDown women's team, even though that match mattered even less because Daniel Bryan said, all 5 of you are on the team. Well, not you, Lana. Best moment of the show. Oh my God. When he just straight up said, because I was like, oh, they're going to do a 6-pack challenge or a 6-person elimination match, and the first person out is not on the team, and nope. He said, you're not on the team. And the other 5 were. So, like, who's the captain on that team really doesn't matter. But I think having Becky Lynch do it's the right move. She's been kind of the flag bearer for the SmackDown women's division for the entire time. You know, she was their first woman selected. She was their first champion. She's been their face consistently. So I think that was the right move. But yeah, so that's really all I've got for today. Is just kind of some of the layers that they've got in the booking. There's lots of things, there's lots of directions they could go, and it's nice. It's nice because for a stretch there, the first week after a pay-per-view, especially building to one of the major ones, they settled everything. And in a way, that's good. It gives them time to build a true feud. But in this, where so much of the card is already spoken for, letting these men's Survivor Series teams kind of hang in the balance in this warfare with the hashtag under siege, kind of let that kind of build a little bit and build some tension. We Jackson talked about it a little bit last night that you know, we spent all of SmackDown, and what really other than that was kind of a ho-hum SmackDown. We spent all of SmackDown kind of anticipating, is Raw going to do something? For some of us, I know Kenny was this way, I was this way, kind of not wanting Raw to do something, kind of wanting the suspense keep building for next week, unless, you know, something really big was going to happen. But it's good. I like the way they're doing it. I like that there's some drama, and I'm looking forward to next week. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you next time.